Welcome back, folks. Welcome to another review from MBE. Joined as always with John C. Walsh, and we are going to continue.
I don't know what I'm doing there. I'm doing it someone off camera. How you doing?
We're going to continue our adventures, John, in Scam 1992, the Harshad Mehta story. We've already covered episode 1, season 1. Thoroughly enjoyed it. We're moving now on to episode 2, Cobra Killer. Bankrupt and fatherless Harshad fights despair and starts a firm, Growmore Consultancy. His friend Pranav Sheth gets his corporate clients, and Bushan comes on board. That's the synopsis, John. So I'm going to hand it over to you now to take us through this television review.
Yeah, Stephen, as I said, first episode really established the premise of the fraud, the great scandal. Established this modern day interview process, the whistleblower. Then it really did get into the meat and bones of Harshad. I keep wanting to say Harshad, and how he rose from a humble beginnings in an overcrowded house to a man who was well respected in the Bombay Stock Exchange. This really continues it on. It was a cliffhanger end to the first episode. The markets had crashed. Everyone was in despair, crying. He was in shock. He just bought a car. Probably had to sell it.
Yeah.
And this just takes it right on. It doesn't take it immediately on right after the events of the first episode. A little bit of time has transpired. His trading account has been suspended.
Yeah.
They're falling in hard times. The younger brothers want to move off to Sri Lanka for a job opportunity. His wife's really holding the fort together. She's bringing in, I think, 1,000 rupees or something.
Yeah.
He's not having that. He's really down. Meanwhile, Mehta's want to open up his trading account again, but he's not allowed to because he owes a debt of, I think it's
suspended,
7 or 9 lakhs, and he's only paid back 3, and they owe 4. And this guy, this main broker, is not having it. He's not allowing him. So it was a really quick pace start to this episode. It didn't really drop the ball. It wasn't slow and mundane. It got right into the action. These guys are down on their luck, but you know that Harshad's going to have a plan, and he certainly does have a plan.
I'm glad, John, the way they handled the second episode. It wasn't all doom and gloom at the start. It has to pick up, obviously, where it left off in episode 1. But what I liked about this was we actually got to see the other side of the father.
Yeah.
He was more in there for comedic levity for the first episode, I felt. And this one, you actually see his position in the family and what he'll do to support his sons as well. You see the gold scene,
selling off his property.
Yeah, and it was very honourable. But there's also a excellent sequence later on in the episode between obviously the father and son, which obviously has tragic consequences. Very emotional. But it was a good way to pick up from the last episode, John. I did say in episode 1 that I could not wait to see what happened next, and we didn't have long to wait to see the sort of effects that the market crash had on the family. The younger brother, he's resigned himself to moving off to Sri Lanka for a job. His wife's very supportive. She can see that he doesn't really want to take the job. He feels he has to obviously support the family. She's tried to say it's okay, I'm earning this amount, it will be fine, etc. Very supportive. But it was a good episode, John. I know we'll get into it more in depth, but it was a good way to start episode 2. It
was. It's just continuing on this guy's journey, his metaphoric rise to the top where he is in a position to perform a huge scandal. I'm combining the two and saying scran. But Stephen, obviously you're right, he has a conversation late on at night. Things are not going his way. He can't open up the trading account. He can't get back into earning these spondulics, as we like to call it, money, as everyone else likes to call it. And he's up late. He's got a bout of insomnia. He's at the window. His old father comes in, and they're speaking. It's a really great conversation between the two. There's back and forth pearls of wisdom. The father's dropping pearls, and Harshad's dropping pearls as well. I think he says, don't lie to the night, because the night holds all your secrets.
Yeah.
And he says, I didn't know you were a poet or something like that. It was a really profound conversation between the father and the son. Incidentally, both barefoot, and someone who likes to wear shoes continuously, that's a real cultural difference between us and India. I tell you that. The Indians love being barefoot in their house. We are just strange beasts over here.
I've got a daughter like that.
Look, Steve, I don't mind it. But I draw the line when you go onto wet grass. That's just wrong on so many levels. But it was a great conversation, and of course it's profound on another level, because he goes to his bed And then obviously his old father passes away. And
Yeah.
I'm going to bring the guy's name up because, again, he's a brilliant little actor. I really enjoyed him in this. Ramakant Daima was great. Dalal Mehta. But there's a way that Harshad just sort of says it's better, it's for the best that he's passed away. He passed away in his sleep.
Yeah.
Now he's not really worrying. I think as his brother says, it's you he's always worried about, and he says he's better off away. So they didn't linger on it too long, and that's good.
No, it
was a profound moment. It was emotional for the characters, but they move on very quickly.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's a terrible thing to say, John, but the father served his purpose in episode 1 and 2. But it was good to see. Maybe we'll get flashbacks. Maybe he'll reoccur. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I've not did what you did and looked at IMDb, but you're going to kill it. But I like the contrast between that one character from episode 1 to episode 2, where I was kind of taking him one way in the episode 1 as being a traditionalist, and set in his ways, to a very loving father in the second one. Just that dialogue between him and his son was enough for me to understand that he actually just cares about his family. And it was nice, and it was very touching. It was very sad, obviously, he passed away, but in a way, John, it wasn't that unexpected either.
And again, another layer of sort of sub-genre within this TV show, this episode. We're doing comedy, we're doing drama, we're doing profound moments and emotional moments. He's done. 2 episodes, he ain't coming back. He is goner than gone.
Nice knowing you.
It's nice knowing you. He's not really needed now. It's all about Mehta, really. It's the Harshad Mehta story, and we follow this guy on his meteoric rise, as I keep saying. I think I said something else. But Mehta hatches a plan to save the brothers, the family, from the brink of bankruptcy. They're sitting having a drink of tea outside of the stock exchange. One of the jobbers comes across and says, "Oh, thanks for the little tip." Because I think the brother's saying, "Look, it's good. You know your markets, you know stocks and stuff. But it's paper, stock trading. It's like sort of giving commentary on a cricket match from afar. Once you step on, it's a different game." That changes his mind when this guy comes over and he sees that he's having actual impacts on the stock market while he can't operate. That changes his mind, and
John,
sort of a light goes off. I kind of
sense that little guy was gloating a little.
He was,
Buy them tea. They're very down in their luck at the moment.
Lots of tea drinking in this.
Yeah, John, it looks really good as well. We'll actually get into, obviously, some of the ingredients as well, which was quite surprising. Yeah.
Stephen, he was gloating like hell, but I liked the scene with Prantak.
It was a light bulb moment,
with him sort of... Yeah, a light bulb moment. You see his eyes moving back and forth. He has a plan. He's hatched his way out of bankruptcy.
That's the one thing I like about the way this is shot. It kind of lingers on him, and they do that thing. It's like sort of smell the fart moment, where the eyes are sort of going like that. But that's him. He's scheming. It's exactly it.
They do it numerous times, Steve. They linger a little bit longer on the Harshad character just to get his reaction to a moment. A little smirk, a little smile, little thoughtful moment, and this is a moment where he realises we can be brokers, or not brokers, sorry, we can be advisors, and obviously they become consultants on the market. They offer information, they get financial backing from, I think, the brother's father-in-law, and there's various other financial backers involved. I think they're sort of battering with another guy as well. He doesn't want to back them, and they're scheming in front of him and get his backing too.
It was
you
a
can
set-up,
see that they're both set up. They're both very much, their fingers are on the pulse. They're not stupid. These guys have been here before and some. And they pay back their debt. They become sub-brokers in Bombay. They set up an office. I think it's their old father's office, because you have the textile sign. They're getting absolutely ripped off. I think it's something like...
The mother wasn't happy about that.
500 rupees or something.
She said, why would you want to take that? I'm paraphrasing. Why would you want to take on it? It had such bad luck attached to it and attached to this family.
But this guy doesn't believe in bad luck. Harshad's a man who very much lives in the present and the future, clearly. He's forgotten about the bad luck in the father. He's moving forward, thinking very astutely about using this space to earn some money. And they do earn money, Stephen. And again, you see his eye for detail. He's sitting in his house. He comes in with a paper. He's speaking to his younger brother about tea. It's a poor year for tea in Africa. I think they're the major exports. Something happens, a rainy season, and he's immediately thinking, this is good for India. India will step up. Let's start working around tea. And no one else is thinking about these things other than Harshad in this sort of little universe this TV show is set in. And it just shows you, they team up again with his friend. I call him a fat smarmy git. I keep forgetting this guy's name, but they team up with the fat guy anyway. I'll get his name in a moment. Pranav Chef. and they work
Maybe by episode 3 it'll be rolling off the tongue, John.
They work together. They're hatching deals all over the place, really, Stephen, for investors, trying to get a sort of firm footing in this stock exchange as brokers, where they can, I think they're giving it good deals to the investors too. They're giving something like 70% of the earnings back, but they're still earning a profit. And again, you're seeing some inside, I think they call it baseball over in the States. They give you little terminologies on how to short the shorting, which is of course which caused the actual financial crash back in, I think, 2008-9. It was all about shorting. He gives a brief little explanation to someone about how you short. You do this, you do that, you make a small profit, you sell them on, you make even more profit. So it's very, how shall I put it, informative, this TV show, as we says in the previous episode.
It's an education, yeah.
It educates you on these stock exchange, the rules, how this system works, what these guys are getting up to. What did you make about his eye for detail again, Stephen? Because they never really go back to the T at any point in this episode. I believe that will probably be set up for the long game. There'll be something going on with tea in a future episode.
Yeah, I would
assume it's more about oil and petrol later on.
I think the point that was getting made here was sort of showing his analytical eye and seeing something that most people don't see, you know, just to show again that he's ahead of the curve, this character, and I liked it, you know. And you're right, John, I never realised that till you said that. They didn't go back to that for some reason, but it might be something that's just a throwaway thing, just as I said, you know, just to show his analytical eye, or it could play later into, you know, further episodes later down the line. I don't know.
They don't have to do it, because it's already established at the end of this episode he is got his finger in many pies. He is working the system. He's got shares and investments happening all over the place, and fuel and various different things. So
one thing I noticed about this episode, John, was there was a lot of manipulation going on in the stock exchange as well. You know, and you see that when the other party are introduced. I can't remember what they're called.
It's I'll try and find his name. Manu.
Yeah,
he's the Cobra. I think it's the Cobra. He's termed the Cobra, and I think Harshad's called the Bull or the Bear. Yeah. They've got these terminologies for them. The bear of BSE, the Cobra of BSE. So there's lots of manipulation and gaming of the system against Meta and various other people in this episode. And it's just really opening up an antagonist. I think it's going to play a long game in this TV show, a sort of thorn in the flesh, and he will be gloating heavily. I hope this guy's involved in the fraud at the end, because I hate this little fat guy. I hate him. The way he's got the guy holding tea for him and stuff like that. What's that about? He's an absolute gimp, that little dude. I loved them, man. We'll get into that scene later on where they're across the floor from each other. It's brilliant. Yeah. But obviously Harshad, he moves into a new office again, Stephen. It doesn't stick around his father's office very long at all. And then there's a sort of, he's really rising in prominence.
John, there's a bit, I know it's not in the notes, but it's just at that point, you know, when they're interviewing for a typist. They could have went with one of the most qualified typists, but he didn't have a typewriter. Yeah. They went with a guy that wasn't very good. With a typewriter, but he had a typewriter. Yeah,
the guy laughs, you'll have to supply me with a typewriter. He's like, no,
I like
you have to supply your typewriter.
Yeah, I like that.
40 words per minute, only 40. I can write quicker than that.
Yeah, but I think it was just down to resource, John. I think at that stage, you know, it was just it was more to do with you know, what works in the situation at the moment.
Stephen, there was another scene. They ask, I think it's your man
from episode 1,
Pranav Chef. Ask him, how good's your English?
Yeah.
And he goes and he has to pitch it to 3 potential investors.
That's right,
and he's speaking English. I don't know why, because they're all Indian, so it's very strange. I don't know why he's speaking English.
Probably to do with international possibly, and stuff like that,
But there's that scene where he's doing a terrible pitch. He's absolutely collapsing.
Yeah.
And your man comes over and helps him out, bails him out, brings women in, and they're like, no.
Well, John, this is this. We were talking about this in episode 1 about him being the family man, and this was an important scene to show that he wasn't as ruthless as he can be, and as much as a scoundrel as I think he's going to become. He's very much for his family, and I think he gets that from his father. Yeah,
absolutely, Stephen. That's that core sort of emotional thing protruding out, obviously from his father, as you did say. Manu's brought in at this point, and the actual fact the Prime Minister dies, Indira Gandhi dies, and I love that in this episode. Yeah, little flickers of real life footage coming in, news and stuff like that.
That reminded me of the scene in The Irishman when JFK was assassinated. You know, you throw those bits in. I know this is obviously based on a true story anyway, but when you throw actual real life events in there, it just adds to the authenticity of the production as well. And obviously it's a big moment, the death of the Prime Minister. So it wouldn't make sense not to mention that in that time period anyway. So I'm glad they did, because we are getting a bit of a history lesson as well in there.
Absolutely, Stephen. I didn't know anything about Indira Gandhi. I didn't know about this other Gandhi that comes in, presumably gets the Prime Minister job just because his name's Gandhi. He's termed the pilot a lot in this. I don't know if he was a pilot. You're right, it's a hugely influential moment, the death of this Prime Minister, because it pits this Manu Mundra guy against Harshad Mehta. These two alternative sort of brokers. He's the main guy in Bombay, the Bombay Stock Exchange. He, I think they say, influences stocks to go up, prices to go up. He influences things up. Some people influence them to go down.
Yeah.
And that's important, that little moment, because
I think so.
Certainly stocks try to get pushed down and stocks try to be pushed up at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
And Stephen, look, as he says, it adds authenticity. That's something I like about this as well. It's really authentic to the time period. This feels like the 1980s. The fashion, the shirts, and just the style, the cars going around. It's a really authentic period piece, and that's something I noticed in the first episode too.
Yeah.
Carries through. Really good production design, set design. And there's another little moment as well, a little flashback moment. I'm not sure if it is a flashback moment. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But it's maybe a bit of the present seeping into the past.
It confused me a little, John. Yeah.
If it isn't, then I'm confused about timelines in this. So someone will need to help me out about that. But yeah, the pilot, this guy, this new Prime Minister, it's bringing turbulence to the economy, and that also affects the stock exchange and markets. This Mundra guy's want to drive things down, crash the market. He has no faith in the Prime Minister, whereas Harshad has complete faith in the Prime Minister, this new guy. And he wants to buy into petroleum and gas. And I love the back and forth between him, I'm going to bring his name up again, Pranav Chef, where he's saying, the country is in flames and you want me to invest in petroleum. He's like, my friend, they need petroleum either way, to burn the car or to drive it. And I love
exactly,
that.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Again, insight into this guy's working.
Yeah.
I'll buy into petroleum. It doesn't matter whether they're burning the place down or they're using it to buy cars and boost the economy. Either way, I'm making money.
That's half full type of guy.
Yeah, that's what he says. He says that. I'm very much a glass half full at some point as well. So that was another little insight into this guy's mentality. He's a very unique guy. He's always ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Stephen, music and soundtrack as well. There's a moment in this where they're physically fighting against each other. Manu Mundra's trying to drive the prices down on this petrol company. I can't recall their name. It's Ivan something. And obviously Harshad's trying to push it up. He's getting people to sell or buy. He's phoning everyone in the office. He's smiling. You're seeing his charisma again. He's able to influence people to do his will, or whatever you want to call it. And this scene where they're on the floor, back and forth, his gang, this Mundra's gang, are trying to drive it down. They're smirking, the prices are dropping.
Yeah.
And he's like, go and buy, tell them to buy. You get little moments in this,
John,
of Ennio Morricone's Good, the Bad and the Ugly score. Obviously it's subtle, but it's in there.
We talked about the theme as well. We talked about that in episode 1. It's going to be a tune, I think. It's going to be really stuck in my head by the time we've finished this journey. It's just a very catchy tune, and the title credits as well are fantastic. I just like the way they flow and the graphics and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure, John, we will get more. We'll get more music in this as every episode we watch. I liked it. I also liked the way they introduced Manu's Lot as well, because there had to be a point at some point in this environment where we get the antagonists of the story, if you like. We didn't get that obviously in episode 1, and you can understand why. It was all about building the characters up and where everyone sort of sits in the story. They came in at a good time, I felt, because Harshad's obviously he's on the up. So it's time to get the people in that he's going to have to. The adversity, the adversity, and I liked him. The goons were a bit 2D for me. It was a bit 2D, but the actual character, is it Manu, isn't that? I'm saying right? There's something about him I like, and his use of a certain word.
Mother effer. Obviously he's on the phone. That scene where Harshad successfully sells or buys all of the stock, and the petrol draws the price up, I believe, or down. I don't know how it works even now. I'm not sure how it works, but he wins. And this Manu Mundra guy is very unhappy. He's got his 3 goons lined up in front of him, and they say, and he's asking them who's responsible, and they finally spit out that Harshad Mehta guy is looking way too happy, and he says, I'm going to break this guy. I can't recall his exact words, but he essentially says he's going to end him. And obviously there is a scheming and stuff like that going on in this episode, that they're trying to destroy his reputation and stuff like that. Stephen, the pacing of the story though, there's jumps in years and time. I've asked here, do you like the way it ebbs and flows, the time and stuff like that, back and forth? And do you think the extended sort of focus on meta is a good thing for this episode, for this TV show in general? I presume it's going to continue like this. They're not really going back to the present 1992 time that much. There's one time it happens.
There isn't. It confused me, John. We'll talk about that in a little moment, but I'll answer your first question. The fact that it's his story kind of gives it away that it's going to be from his perspective. In a way, if you're trying to be a neutral in this sort of scenario, it's very hard because you're only seeing it from his sort of storytelling. Well, I'm saying his storytelling. I'm assuming it's the chap kind of given as a sort of bullet point of his sort of rise, memoirs, to obviously his rise and I assume his fall. But I think we're just going to have to accept that. That's the way it is. That's the way.
I don't mind it.
Well, it's obviously based on the book as well, John. So I don't mind that at all. But there is going to be moments where you're going to say, "Is that really the way it happened? You know, is that this scene really the way it played out, or is this just the way he's telling it?" You're always going to get that, but it's not really going to bother me that much, to be honest with you.
No, Stephen, look, these guys are very interesting. As I did say, it's the same Wolf of Wall Street. This guy's colourful. You're meant to hate this guy. He's meant to be dislikable. But I can't hate him.
Yeah, that's a good example,
he's living
John.
a great life. He's getting tore into everything. And that's fair enough.
The scene that we're talking about, John, is obviously the sort of present day one blending. Well, we're assuming it's blending into the sort of past.
Because the reporters are up the stairs.
It seems to be the same building.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
but I don't know.
The little whistleblower runs out into the cab.
Yeah.
And it's Chahta Dalal, played by Shreya Danwanfari.
Yeah.
Danwanfari. She goes down the stairs, and as she goes up the stairs, I should say, and as she's going up the stairs, Harshad comes down with his brother, Ashwin. They come down the stairs and pass. There's no real look of knowing.
No. And the time, the sort of period in time, she looks like she's from the 1992 period, and they look like they're from the 1980 period.
So we suggested it's perhaps budget. Maybe the budget wasn't there to make them ghost in or something, or put an effect, and you're just meant to know from the differences in fashion.
Maybe we're that's totally wrong.
It may be completely wrong. It may be the same time period. Maybe a completely different character. But Stephen, he's so cool as well, man. He is so cool. The actor, I'm going to dig his name out, Pratik Gandhi.
Yeah.
When he walks down, he's just got a way about him, a certain elegance, the shirt and everything. He just looks cool as hell. He has a conversation with his brother. Also, I can't recall exactly what we're talking about at this point. I think it was about buying shares and stuff like that, I presume. Yeah. And obviously Manu and his goons, as I've called them, they deliberately try to lower the SPIC price. That's what his sort of primary area, his primary investment, that's where it lies. They're trying to lower the price and ruin him financially. Not only that, they're trying to destroy his reputation as well by saying that he's in huge debt, he can't fulfill his debts, and try and scare away investors if you'd like. And that sets up the end of this episode. And the ingenious way that he turns the tables, I says, on the Manu Mundra character, by getting ahead of the game. He's got little moles in and around, reporters coming to him and giving them tips on what's going to happen. He goes and pays all of his debts off in advance. The dog's absolutely destroyed us here. Wow, Harley. He pays the debt off in advance, and then he lets everyone know that he's paid the debt off in advance by giving them free tea as a celebrating moment. And Stephen, before that, the scene we were talking about, the guy speaking, there was no need for this. I don't know why it was in this episode. The tea moment where the little boy brings the tea and he says, "That's terrible tea.
Yeah.
Who have you got making tea in there?" And he gives him a list of how to make tea. He's putting cardamom in it, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's cloves.
Cloves, yeah.
There's a couple of other things. You boil the water with it, then you boil the tea. I thought, man, I'm making tea like that. So it didn't need to be in the episode, but it's got me switched on to making tea.
Perhaps it's just to show that he knows how to make tea. I don't know.
Yeah,
it wasn't necessary.
Lots of tea. Stephen, tea in this is like fags, cigarettes, and whiskey in Peaky Blinders. There's never a scene without one or the other. Yeah. Kelly Murphy's always smoking a cigarette. And Peaky Blinders, he's always drinking a cup of tea.
The paying off the debts, but I thought was a masterstroke from the character. It kind of showed, the lengths he'll go to protect his reputation, and obviously his, I would say his firm's reputation at this point.
Yeah.
And It's sending them a message as well that he'll not be stopped with the sort of petty mind games that they're trying to play. He's having a riot down here, John, but you know what I mean? It's just that sending that message out to what's the chap's name again? Manu.
Yeah. Yes, Steve, we didn't even my dog's killing us here. Do apologise. We didn't even speak about Gromo, the actual name of the broker company. And the sort of English names always work better.
Well, there was that little scene, wasn't there, about the English they sound more sophisticated.
Yeah,
I can't remember, paraphrasing.
I think one company changed its name. And the prices went up. So that was another little moment. But yeah, they try to ruin him. He's well ahead of the game though. And it doesn't work out at all. And that's really where this episode ends, Stephen. It ends with him on the ascendancy. But the Mundra character looking from afar and saying, this guy's going to end up naked at some point.
It was exactly. It was very important that they ended this episode on a high, because the last episode was such a downer. I don't know how I would have responded if it was another sort of setback for the brothers, but I'm glad it ended the way it did, because I can't wait to obviously watch the next episode.
Stephen, I think the only way is up for the character now before he eventually takes an absolute pitfall down into scandal and stuff.
But
like
it's
that.
interesting to see how it's going to unfold, John. You're seeing this sort of what's it called? The sort of the rise of this character, and it's going to be very interesting to see the fall as well.
Yes, it is. Stephen, standout performance before we round up with overall thoughts.
I think Harley in this episode.
Harley in this episode has been the absolute key performer. There he is. What a dog you are, Harley, but you're killing our vibe in this review. Standout performer again for me, Pratik Gandhi in this by far. Really, really, really good. He's got some key moments in there, emotive moments with his father, moments of sort of just charisma, just sheer and utter charisma, smiling, bending people to his will. There's some great moments in here starring Pratik. I'm scared the dog is going over at the camera. He's going to knock it over again.
Cut us off
and we'll be freeze framed.
Yeah.
So for me, Pratik Gandhi by far was a standout performer. I don't know if you have a differing opinion.
Satish Kaushik, I think his name is. He's absolutely right, John. Who played Manu, John. The scenes he was in, I liked this character just for what he is. He's an absolute shit at this point. It's going to be very interesting to see how this character plays out in this story, because he's the sort of opposite of the sort of protagonist of the story. He's the antagonist, so it's going to be interesting to see how far he can go as well to obviously succeed, and obviously put your main man
Harshad
and put him back in his box.
Isn't it funny though, Steve, this guy the whole TV show is based on supposed to be the antagonist, and we're having to create antagonists for the antagonist. That's
what we're talking about. It's the perspective of the story. It's his story, so it's going to be a bit one-sided.
Absolutely. Stephen, overall thoughts on this episode, general vibe of the show and where the story's progressing. Are you happy? I loved this episode. I probably liked this more than the first episode. The first episode was setting up the characters, where they're going in this TV show, the premise. You could get right into it here. It ended on a cliffhanger. We set it up right away. He's down, he comes back up, he loses his father. Everything's going on in this. It was a really good episode. It flowed well. Again, structurally really cool. Visually, set design, brilliant. I love the performances. Vibe, I'm happy with the way it's going.
I'm happy mostly with the pacing as well. We're not going too deep into this right now, because my fear was with this kind of subject, stretching over 10 episodes might have been a stretch, but so far the pacing of it has been very important. I think we're not getting too much, we're just getting enough, and it's leaving us wanting more.
And we're covering a huge amount of time as well, Stephen. We've jumped from 78 to 84, but there's still another 8 years to go, so we've got a long bit of storytelling.
John, I'm very interested to see that this is billed as season 1.
Is it going to continue then?
Very interesting. It's very interesting. So we might not see the fall in this season.
Yeah, we might. And that'd be great, because I love this guy, Stephen. As I says, I love this Harshad guy. You're meant to hate him, but I love him. He's got a way about him. He's a likeable guy. And that quote at the end of this episode, I'll say it again, is absolutely brilliant. The poor can now get some respite. The rich mother effers won't sleep tonight. That speaks so much about this guy. He's meant to be a wronging. He's meant to be a fraudster, but he's a sort of Robin Hood guy. He's not really. He's just doing it for himself. But I liked it, man. I loved the episode. Great start to this season, this show in general. I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm going to be glued to it.
John, this is going to actually take us right up to the new year, if my calculations
Steve,
are
we'll
correct.
need to slip a Kaife in there as well, though. Someone's told us how to watch Kaife. We may need to put Kaife in on another day instead of movie news. There's no movie news anyway, because I want to see that Kaife film. But look,
desperate to see it.
Absolutely, that's going to round up our review of the second episode, Cobra Kills. Cobra Kills. What was your thoughts on Scam 1992 as a whole? What was your thoughts on this episode in a sort of singular way? English is not my forte tonight, sadly. You can share below what your thoughts are. Some people don't even know I'm speaking English. I could be speaking German. I could be speaking Norwegian, guys. Doesn't matter. But look, you can share your thoughts down below about this episode, about the show in general. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel. The battery's exhausted. You will see that if you're enjoying the content. But look, until then, I'm going to bid you farewell by putting up this graphic because I'll cover up the shit battery exhausted.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.